I'd like to welcome back to the stage our speakers, Nick and Natalie. And joining our keynotes will be Mark Code, CEO of Media Brands and MFA Board Director, and our moderator, Simon Adisho, who's part of our MFA 5+ committee.
We have assigned.
Awesome. I'm just going to test that this mic is working. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, awesome. So I guess we'll start. My name is Simon. I am from PhD Media. I'm currently a planning director. Beside me, I have obviously Nick and Nat, but I also have Mark Code, who is the Media Brand CEO and also the director of the MFA board. I'm going to start off by kind of acknowledging, obviously, our gratefulness to have you all on this panel. Thank you so much for speaking. I think we're all truly inspired. I think we're all actually truly inspired to be better parents, if I'm honest, as well. I think we're all going to be really looking forward to raising our kids in this initiative, to be honest. I guess the questions that we're posing is to really encourage everyone here to continue to be the changers. I think it's so important that even though MFA's premise is obviously we are the changers, we want to make sure that we have practical ways to go back into our industries and back into our day-to-day. And so I'll get you guys to think about some questions because I will pose it to you guys to ask some questions too. We've bucketed the questions into 3 areas. So there's accountability and measurement, clients, and greenwashing. So I guess the first question straight off the bat would be for you, Nat. What are the most meaningful ways in which to measure and report the success of sustainability initiatives, do you think?
So there are a few ways. First of all, reporting with integrity. It is not a marketing exercise. It is a data-led exercise. So anything that you report you need to be able to meaningfully back up with your data and showcase your data. So for example, there's ESG metrics that you can use, and this is on, so if you go to msci.com, there's a few resources that I've provided in the app that you can refer to. But I think there's a few guiding frameworks that you can start to use. So one is if you're undertaking any measurement, you could go to the Greenhouse Gas Protocol. If you want more guiding sort of frameworks across environmental and social issues, you could refer to the Sustainable Development Goals. Or for publicly listed organisations, what they're moving towards now, and sorry for the acronym, is it's TCFD, so the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosure. So there's all of these frameworks, and there's heaps. I put them in the app, and you can refer to them, but I would just say that it is first knowing what is most material to your organisation. There's no point, trying to track the impact of your, say, toxic waste when you run a small digital organisation with no toxic waste. So find out what's most relevant to your industry and organisation, and then you can use some of these guiding frameworks to start figuring out how you can effectively report on that data.
Yes, awesome. And then another question I have for both Nat and Nick. It's clear there are many hurdles with sustainability. What's kept you both personally motivated to continue in this venture?
Oh, look, our purpose of Untrash the Planet. Purpose, this word purpose is a thing that's really hard to find, apparently. It is hard to find, and I won't lie, but it's quite an overused word. We just called it common sense. So our common sense is to do the right thing and to untrash the planet. And so that keeps us going. I get daily emails from supporters, and I love seeing a good citizen walk down the street. And they look at me and go, and I look at them, they don't know. I have people telling me all about my own brand. They don't recognise it. And I go, what a person. And then I'll find them and then I'll send them something in the post for free and say, you're an amazing ambassador. So that keeps me going, is the relationship that I have. They're not even customers, they're just good citizens. So that's the one thing that keeps me going.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. For me, we don't have a choice. So I'm very lucky. I'm passionate about all things social equity and environment. I care deeply about it. And I love what I do and I love problem solving, but there isn't a choice anymore. It is sort of this binary where you do something or you don't do anything, and existential crisis. And I know the language is really strong, but this is how severe the problem is. So I see it as a moral imperative.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Mark. with a big question, I think, for us in the room. Realistically, what can media agencies do to encourage our clients along the environmental responsibility and sustainability path? And how do we approach that conversation in our roles?
Yep. Firstly is, where's Harry?
He's with Grandad.
Oh, he's over there.
That's my dad. He's come to see us today, so he's sat with Grandad.
I was going to say he's going to have a pretty cool note to send to school today when he's late, helping the media industry change. And by the way, Harry, about the media, where's Carolyn Bellacci? She's just here. So this lady here, she works at Meta that own Facebook and Instagram. And do not let her leave without talking to her.
We spend a lot of money on
She's just
Facebook.
here on table
I'm not
11.
seeing the results at the moment.
He just is pumped. What can we do? There are a lot of... most holding companies I know we certainly are, I'm not here to spruik ours, so I'll caveat that, but most holding companies are now at a place where they are either working on or they need to work on how they're measuring themselves and their media partners they work with. You spoke about the supply chain, on how they measure up on some of these areas. So we're getting to that place now. Most of your companies should be on this journey. If they're not, you should go and talk to them and you should ask them about it. For most of our advertisers we work with, their media invoices are the biggest invoice they sign off every month, pretty much, unless you're in manufacturing, buying raw products and stuff like that. So a lot of the big holdcos and others are working on assessing media partners and how they stack up on the areas of ESG and various pillars within. And we're going to help our partners, our clients, make their decisions on where they allocate their investments based on how media partners align with their own efforts and values. And they're going to be fascinating conversations because at the moment you guys produce media plans, you'll talk to a client, here's the optimum media plan, here's the mix of partners we're suggesting you use on the criteria of audience reach and cost efficiency, it's optimal, would you like to buy it? However, some of these partners are not necessarily aligned to some of the things important to you as assessed by these criteria. So here's an alternate plan that stacks up a little bit better on those, but there's my estimate would be there'll be a small premium to pay because we're overlaying additional criteria. Which one would you like to pay? Which one would you like to buy? And we should be having those conversations. Your companies are or should be equipping you with the tools and knowledge to have those conversations. And I think that's the biggest difference we can make. That's substantial difference. You know, we can do a lot internally within our offices, and we do, but I think that's the big lever we have.
Right. And I think another question off the back of that is, do you think that we have, as an agency environment, like a 3-year goal or a 1-year goal? Or is there a collective that's working together for us to figure out what will happen in the future directly?
I think both. I think personally, goals are up to the companies themselves. That's what I believe. I'm a believer in the laws of the jungle, and what I mean by that is, you're only going to be effective leaders if people choose to follow you. That's the only way you're going to become a successful leader, and people will choose to follow you based on your behaviours and what you stand for. Mm. And I was very lucky actually. I listened to President Obama yesterday, and he was asked a question about hope. Where do you hold hope? And he talks about the youth of today, the Harrys of today. These people are instinctively aware of this. They're not retraining themselves. They're not having to re-educate themselves. It's instinctive. And that's the people that we're employing. They're the people who are going to help us succeed. And unless we are doing something in this space, they will vote with their employment contracts. Mm. And that's what I mean by the laws of the jungle will prevail. If you are no good in this space, I think you'll fail. Because we're a service industry. We try and attract the best talent we can attract, and if we can't do that and we're not aligned to their values and aligned to what's important to them, they'll vote with their employment contracts.
Yeah, speaking of putting your money where your mouth is, I think greenwashing is a word that's been used a lot, and I personally didn't really understand what greenwashing meant. So can I get one of you, probably Nat, to explain what greenwashing is? And then it would be good if we could get more insight as to what that is and what can be done about it to keep people accountable.
Yeah, so greenwashing is intentionally misleading consumers about your own green credentials. And actually, Nick mentioned one before, and this is one, I don't know if I think it should be considered greenwashing. That recyclable, when companies are saying they know that there is a difference between recycled materials and recyclable materials, and they intentionally mislead through the use of those words. So that's probably a softer example of greenwashing, but I mean, there's been high-profile cases of greenwashing, like Volkswagen fudging its fuels, and especially prevalent in the fashion industry, where you just have every brand calling itself sustainable, and there's a big crackdown. There's now a site called greenwash.org, and it's highlighting a lot of the greenwashing taking place. There's major reports underway on looking at greenwashing. So it is a really big problem, and it's making it very difficult as a consumer to determine what's real and what's not.
Mm. And what can be done, do you think, to keep people accountable on your end?
I mean, I got sent loads of emails about 3 months ago going, the ACCC are going to come out and target brands that are making big claims. Now, we make a big claim. One bottle is 100% recycled into these frames in Sydney. No one at the ACCC has rung us, contacted us, and I want to be contacted, right? Because I want to come to the factory. We could all now get on 8 buses, and I could take you, and Harry and I, we could go to our factory, and then we could bore the bejesus out of you, right? But we were open and honest, and I think brands need to be more transparent. And I want to say to you leaders, show vulnerability, because even if you go home tonight and you jot some thoughts down and you go back to the office tomorrow and you make a 2% difference, right, in your business, that's really, really good, right? Show some vulnerability. You can't be perfect. What I find frustrating is when the next phone call is head of marketing, oh yeah, we've done this thing, let's tell everybody. Get your house in order, get your industry in order, and then share, right? And people will respect you. People, if you're out having a coffee with a friend and they show you some vulnerability and they're a little bit sad, you love them more. So be like that as a leader. Be like that as someone in the company. You don't have to lead. You can be at any level. Show vulnerability and say, this isn't good enough, and let's show how it can be transformed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I add one thing, just the way to think about sustainability reporting, I guess, it's the way that we're moving is, think of it like a financial balance sheet. It's not, sustainability isn't marketing, it is moving. We are integrating it into the economy. We're integrating climate change and nature into the economy. So it's sort of like if you're fudging your data or your numbers or your credentials on sustainability, it's kind of like think of it like tax evasion, I don't know whether you do that or not, but yeah, it should be thought about in financial terms, and that's how you report on it. That's how serious it is.
Yeah, I love that.
I was just going to build on that. And we had this conversation at the event in Melbourne. We are so well placed to make an impact here, not just in our own companies. I mean, the video We Are Changes, it's legit. Like, think about your friends. I mean, I've got friends who are builders, they're landscapers, they don't have the capacity to work across multiple categories at the coalface where major companies put their brands in front of consumers and how they do that. And we're pretty uniquely placed. There's not many people, I can't think of any of my mates outside of the industry who have that capacity. And we've all got it. So the best thing we could do is use it. So if we see greenwashing, if we know clients are making claims that aren't substantiated, we have a privileged position to be able to have a conversation with them about that and what it means for their brand.
Absolutely. I'll be coming to you, Stu, to back me up when I go to the clients at PhD. I'm going to open it up to the floor to ask a few questions. I think it's really important that everyone gets involved. So I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I've got one hand that's struck up on that side, so I might go for them for the question. We've got prizes as well for those who ask a really good question. Thanks to Nat.
More free media.
Hello. Oh, Christ. I'm JJ. I'm from Reprise. I am the paid social lead on my team. So when I get creative from the clients, obviously we always take it in good faith. What would your recommendation be when it comes to greenwashing, under the assumption that their marketing team has also got that creative and that messaging in good faith, how would you recommend pushing back or questioning?
I think it depends on what your relationship with the person is. I know it's a very delicate situation. I think there's a couple of things. One could be pointing out very politely that, as Nick mentioned, ACCC is cracking down on greenwashing. I just wanted to flag a few things and check that you had all of this sort of backed up with data. So there's one way to directly approach it. I don't know if you have other means to indirectly approach it, or whether there is some way to set up a collaboration where you have a joint organisation effort to address greenwashing, or have, you know, an interagency upskilling session or something like that, just to shine a light and have, I guess, more systemic change. It could be a range of workshops and sessions where you're just highlighting cases of greenwashing. We've done that with a few organisations, and it's quite helpful because a lot of the time people aren't really aware of what greenwashing is.
And I think I touched on this before. We're in a pretty unique place where if brands are being disingenuous, we can have that conversation. And there's many case studies that will support the success or not of brands who are disingenuous over a period of time. And all we can do is equip them with that information. They'll listen to it or they won't. And if they won't, I also believe that advertisers end up with the advisors and the media agencies they deserve as well. I mean, there's not enough people in this industry, we all know that. We can all make choices as the type of clients we work on. If enough of those clients exist, enough of us won't want to work with them.
And then speed dial ACCC.
Yeah.
I just want to add to that the theme of today, which is to dare, right? So just approach it and dare. And what you said last week, Mark, in Melbourne, is just build something better. So just by saying, I feel uncomfortable inside, and you maybe talk internally about it. I don't know how your comms are out of that and that further conversation, but as an individual, you can absolutely help make it better and educate them, but without bashing them.
Yeah, that was a good conversation. It was around what if they don't believe they are damaging the planet? What if they don't believe we're all in a bad place? There's nothing wrong with. I mean, we don't have to agree to what stage of badness we're at. There's nothing wrong with improving things, even if we're in a good place. Let's make them better. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really important. We're all on this planet together. Just make it a better place in general. Can we throw it over to another question? I think, yep, down there. I think there's a mic coming your way.
Thanks. I'm Phil from Intender. I think I'd like your opinion on this. I'm not sure how to ask this question, but I think clients talk to us about financial wastage, but we in media can deal with media wastage. And if you think about display, and I'm sorry I'm picking on display, everyone picks on display. If only 1% of people cared, that means 99% of the energy to run those ads was waste. How do we change that? Are we charging in the right way? Are we selling attention in the right way? What would be your thoughts on how we sort that out as an industry?
That's a tricky one. My view is, and those who've worked with me have heard me say this before, we don't have a single client in the business of buying impressions. Not one. Or buying media. All they're buying is growth. They're buying business effectiveness. We are helping them sell their goods and products. So that's how I frame the conversation around where we should and shouldn't be. Is this going to help you grow your business and drive the results you're after, or is it not? I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's how I think about it.
That's cool. I think it's a tricky situation that we're in, so but if we don't do anything, it's just going to keep going. So anyone else got thoughts?
No.
I really don't.
I didn't understand the question.
Not at all.
That's why I'm not in media.
Sorry.
I think we can throw it out to one more. I'm like trying to make eye contact with that. We can go for it.
Just climb 3 mountains. We'll give him a break.
Thanks. I'm Chris from Unlimited. I'm just listening specifically to Mark and Nick and some of the things there. It seems that one of the biggest challenges to change is cost. You know, you mentioned, you know, we can do 2 plans. There's this plan over here, this plan over there. We might add a little bit of a premium over here on this plan. I know the cost of doing the right thing is often more than just going and buying a plastic bottle or whatever it be. So question is that one of the biggest challenges for you guys? And what can we do about that, specifically as this industry who have massive application ability? What can we do about that?
I think, I mean, firstly, a principle's not a principle till it costs you something. That's the first reaction I got to that, Frilo. But listening to your question, it's a really good question. Maybe the language is wrong. It shouldn't be a premium. Like, this is the optimal cost of your plan, taking in all of the relevant considerations. We can discount it if you want to compromise on some of the things important to you. So maybe it's a language thing.
Is that one of your biggest challenges, Nick? Or has it been?
In what sense?
Not having enough money to get the message out there that you're doing the right thing.
I think not just for us. I speak to a lot of brands that are, you know, you've got your big brands that are, you know, backed by big funds and venture capital and private equity and their big holding groups, and they can't make a loss. You've got hate calling us, maybe we are pioneers. You know, we've managed to turn a plastic bottle into a pair of sunnies, and there's a whole raft of people like us that don't have the big budgets but are the next pioneer, the ones that are watching their ideas get nicked. Dyson went through it, all these people nicking their ideas. It would be great as an industry, because I used to work in the entertainment game and I'd have lots of distressed media on the radio and I'd just hand it to charities. I'd make that call. I felt like this millionaire boss, and it wasn't even my company, but I'm going to give you something which you need, which is eyeballs, which is people hearing your story, which is seeing your story. And so, you know, it would be wonderful as an industry if actually you did some diligence and you basically backed the underdogs as an industry and gave them a voice, rather than a client coming to you and you bonus them 10% on outdoor because they're one of your biggest spenders, or you give them some more time in breakfast. That's just one thing you can do as an industry, is actually, you're all smart, you can all smell when something's not right, but back the people that are making the change, back the Harrys, back the new innovators, because they will make it, and we have no voice. We can't outspend. On Google, if you Google right now, sustainable or recycled sunglasses, if 10 popped up, 6 haven't got any recycled content in whatsoever. And I know there's people from Facebook and probably Google here. What do I do? I'm fighting for that keyword. I can't afford to keep paying for that keyword. And those brands, what they have on their website buried is a recycled box. Yeah?
Or recyclable box.
Or recyclable box. So that's the challenge we have as a group of individuals trying to do the right thing. And you as a group of individuals can help us get that exposure.
That's a good point. And I've seen us do some good work in that space. I mean, most agencies have clients that they pro bono or, you know, look after a, you know, punch above their weight within the agency. And a lot of that's generally tied to the values of what's important to the agency. So that most will pick clients like that, but they tend to be in probably the more charitable space than the ESG space.
Yeah, charities do get a lot of, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
We're also kind of semi like a charity because we run what we do on the back of an oily rag, right?
Yeah.
Or the smell of an oily rag.
And it's viewing these organisations for their longer term return on investment, that they are genuinely, like, you're genuinely more sustainable. So lower long-term risk for investors and for for anybody investing in the company. And I think there's a little bit of asymmetry between the long-term outcomes required for nature and environment and the short-term lens which we view financial returns and return on investment. So it's tricky.
But if you're scared, right, as an industry of say backing a business and giving them exposure, you can get a team of advisors together. So I've judged a few sustainability awards and I've met some incredible people. They're professors, they've got proper titles, you know, and we can look at something and go, that is good, that is not good, right? So you're all connected. You can pull together your own advisory team and you will educate each other. And so don't be afraid to be a little bit more vulnerable and just show and give us all a voice.
Amazing. I think you guys have summarised my last question, which was some actions that we could do, and I think we've got plenty to take away. selfishly, I do want to ask one more question. What's next for Good Citizens?
Harry's going to go back to school after this. I'm actually taking a holiday tomorrow. Mum and I are going on off holiday for the first time in 5 years. So sadly we can't take Harry, but Grandad and Grandma are here. So for me, I'm going on holiday. That's personally, I'm exhausted. I want to sleep and I need to recharge. We're looking at other products because we can take anything that's a trash, put it into a machine and turn it into good. That's our business, not sunglasses. And so currently we're looking at a few products, but it's investment. We probably do need to get some investment now because we need to scale and we can't keep self-funding it. So I think talking to investment, but the trouble is when you talk to investment, the dialogue changes because as soon as the first dollar goes in, there's a return and the narrative of the business changes. So I really want to protect what we've built. So we're at this crossroads of that.
Absolutely. Cool. I might end it there for everyone. And thank you so much for joining us. I'll hand it over to you guys.